When it comes to architecture school, we are only trained on how to design and how to make the building work and the practical aspects of design. However, we are never taught, or there is no such thing as a course that teaches you how to establish your own firm, how to run architecture business, how to price your own design, how to negotiate when it comes to contract, how to present. There's no such thing as that in architecture school. Nobody knows why. So today we are looking at the business side of architecture. Stay tuned. Understand the value of your work. Don't be afraid to price your work high because you have to give value to it. If you don't give value to it, your client wouldn't see the value in what he is trying to do. There's been so many times that I underpriced my work. I did some work for free. I remember once a time I was working on a project and the client asked me, how much are you going to charge? And I didn't know how to respond. If I needed to charge per square meter of the total area, or probably I need to charge on the number of hours I worked on this project, or I need to charge based on the size of the project, or I need to charge on how long I would be working on the project. I had no idea. So when the client asked me this question, I didn't know how to respond. So I just threw any number to the client. And I realized that when I began the project, it took me a lot of time to be able to get exactly what the client wanted because there was a lot of overtime. I did so many concerts before the client accepted. And from that point, I realized that, okay, I have to calculate for my time. I need to calculate for the computer that I'm using to work. I need to factor my skill set into it because I studied architecture and did my master's in architecture. In total, it cost me 7 years. You have to factor a 7-year period of you acquiring those skills into pricing. You have to factor the tools or the equipment that you'll be using for this work. It wasn't given to you for free. You had to pay for it. So you have to factor this thing also into it. You have to factor the area I charge or the area of the project. And I had to learn this thing through the hard way. I have to learn this over a period of time after I had worked with a couple of clients and I had devalued my service to them. Do some groundwork, research the industry, know how much others charge, know what's your worth in the industry, right? You have to value your work because your skill set has value. Point number 2, you have to build strong client relationship. In some sense, you have to under promise and you over deliver. You understand? You under promise and you over deliver. Don't over promise them that you're going to do this, you do this and this. However, you don't show up when the time comes. No. So just a quick tip, you have to try and you under promise. You don't, not so low, but you have to give them a standard or a little bit above the standard. And when it's time for you to deliver, you over deliver more than their expectations. This way you're building relationship with them, because when clients are paying, they pay for trusts. Mostly they don't understand design, so they would pay for your trust. That is how it works. So if one client trusts you, the probability that he or she is going to refer you to the next client is 1,000% because they trust you. They've worked with you over 3 months for the designing phase and they've been able to acquire your trust, or they've worked with you over a project for 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, and they've built that connection, that's trustworthy relationship with you, and you know them. So there's a probability that they're going to refer you to the next client and for you to keep getting your checks. You understand? So build a client relationship. You have to diversify your income stream. You have to don't just stick to just residential design. You have to do residential design. You try out commercial design. You try out product design. You try out consulting. You have to try out project management. You have to try out these things in order for you to keep generating the cash flow for your business, right? Zaha Hadid got to a point that she was designing furnitures, right? So it's not just about just sticking to one thing. You have to diversify the income stream. One more thing, you might not just sell the designs to your clients. You could sell it and also have a monthly consulting basis every week. You give them 2 hours, and 2 hours, this is how much you'd pay for me to oversee the project. You do this and they keep giving you tips here and there. It'll go a long way, and it goes a long way. So that's point number 2. Try to diversify your income stream. So the next point here is point number 3. Learn to market yourself. I always used to think that good design will sell itself. It doesn't work like that. Good design doesn't sell itself. Good design needs to be marketed. Good design needs to be advertised. Good design needs to be promoted. No matter how good your design is, no matter how good your skill sets are, if you don't have a team, or if you're not taking time to promote yourself, to share your story, and so people can get to know you, and that's how you get more clients, that's how you get more contracts. You have to put yourself out there and tell your story and share your story. Good design doesn't market itself. Time management equals profit. You have to know how, or you have to maximize your time. Take away sleeping. You have 18 hours in a day. You take away transportation, you take away feeding, you take away, you have to be relaxed. You take away all these, and the amounts of time left for you to work is limited. So you have to manage your time. And the more time you have left, the more profit you can make. You have to set a time for every project that you're working on. As a principle about time that states that projects will take as long as you give it. Something like that. I'm just paraphrasing. Yes. So you have to set a time for this project, and you give your best with it. And when it's done, it's done. Right? If you keep going back at it, you're using more time, more resources of yours, and you ain't getting paid. Profit sustains creativity. From day one, you have to treat architecture as business. It's the business side first, for the design side next. If there's no profit, if there's no money, you can't run your business. For me, I realized that great design doesn't pay the bills. It's not everybody who cares about designing. It's not everybody who wants their building to be like Calatrava or Frank Gehry. Not every client would want that. So some clients just want their building built, and because they're building for commercial purposes, they're building for function wise. They're not building for the state of the art or landmark. It's just a few clients would want to have this, and if you're fortunate to land a client like that, God bless your soul. But most clients wouldn't care about that. That is the facts, right? They just want to put up something. They just care about the shelter of the design, the shelter of architecture. So you have to learn pricing, marketing, client management. That's very, very important. How to negotiate a contract. You understand? These are essential tools for your firm to succeed. Profit sustains creativity. Always remember that. So you always have to take 30 to 50% of payments down before you start the design. Before you take your pen to design, or before you turn on your computer, take 30 to 50% down payment, flags payments, before you start designing, all right? So that if there's any delay of payment, you have that aspect covered before you submit the design. And also, when you design, you have to do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I do 3 phases, right? Phase 1, before I start doing the concept design, so you pay 30 to 50% of the design. And phase 2, finish the concept, so that's phase 2, and you give up the 20%. Then the rest 30% when I have done with architectural designs and the constructional design. That's when you pay up. You can mimic this, or you can see what best works for you. Cash flow is important. You always take pay up before you start up. The next point is you learn to sell yourself and your design, or you learn to sell yourself with your design. Don't separate it. I have my personal life and I have my design life. No, you are the design. The design is coming from you. If you're a one-man firm or you have a studio you're running, you have about 15 people or 8. If you have anything less than 20 people, then you are the design. Put yourself out there. Tell your stories. You have to sell yourself with your desires, because the more people know you, the more they trust you, and they would entrust you with their project. That is how it works. So let people know you. Let people try to understand from you. Let people get to know you personally. Before, I used to have problem with pitching my designs, pitching my ideas. After some time, I left my comfort zone, put myself out there and try as much as possible to share my ideas, to share my thoughts with the people around me, try to build network. All right. So the last one is you have to build relationships, not just clients. You have to keep checking up on your clients. I mean, the good ones, all right? The good ones. You have to keep checking up on them. You have to establish a relationship with them. Don't make it just about business. You have to have a true relationship with them, not just about clients and contracts. And that's not how it works. And I think it's the same with every industry. You don't have to just have it as just contracts and just I do this for you and after that I'm done. It doesn't really have to be like that. You have to make it more about a relationship, because through them, your next contract or your next project is going to come out. All right. So that's all for today. I hope I inspired you to keep working hard, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. All right.
Your cash flow is important.